online folks are talking about a Goenka style retreat. Um, and even though it's different from what we do, like I do feel like there's some, I definitely got benefit from it, some benefit from it, and it's good to be able to sit still and like experience that. Um, and then after the third day, they teach the actual Vipassana technique in this tradition. And basically, what you do is you bring your attention like to the tip of your head. Um, your eyes are closed, and you imagine that you're like scanning your body just for like any sensation, anything, and then you slowly, like in a spiral, you slowly move like a little bit outward, and like you keep on going. You start slower. You keep on going, and then eventually, like down to your face, around the back of your head, your neck. Then you like do one arm down to your fingers. Then you go back up and do the other arm around like your torso, then your legs, and so on. And then when you get to like the bottom point of whatever foot you ended at, you reverse it and go back up. And you basically, that's what you do, like for the next, what would it be, like 6 days or something like that. And it was interesting because I experimented with like doing it at different speeds, like doing it quickly or slowly or kind of like a moderate, pace. Because if you're sitting for so long, like, I don't know, my mind just went there. And for one of the sessions, I went like super, super duper slow. Like, I forget if we were in there for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, but I was going so slow that I didn't complete one body scan the whole time. I was just going like, I was like super dialed in. And I think something that's useful from this method, and we could even like try it, do like a super abbreviated version of it. Something that's useful is like, so say if you're doing it and like I'm scanning my forehead and I have an itch on my arm, you just acknowledge the itch and then don't scratch it unless like you really really have to scratch it, whatever. But like the intention is don't scratch it, just go back to where you were, and ideally, like, if you, as you go on, like you can notice it, but it's like not really exactly bringing your attention away. It's not like you're blocking anything, but like you're just kind of maintaining your attention at where you're scanning, and you just keep on going. And I had a cool experience happen. So, we were doing this with our eyes closed, and I was sitting and I felt a bug crawl on me. It like crawled up my leg and onto my arm. And at first I was like, because we were out like, in the country, and I was like, could be a spider or something. And at first I was like, I tensed up. But then I kept on doing the scanning. And then I settled down, and every once in a while I could feel the bug, whatever it was. I didn't open my eyes. I could feel it like walking a little bit on my arm. And then I came to a place, I'm not sure how long it was, like it was a decent amount of time, like 15 minutes or so, and it was still there. And then I came to a place of just like being just completely like content and open, and I didn't mind that the bug was there, and I kept on going. And then I started to like really appreciate the bug, and I felt like love for it, which is really great. And then after a while, it hopped off of me, and I missed it. So I went through like the whole cycle of like pushing away, like being tense, to like, appreciating it, and then like wanting it back. So I thought that was a good kind of metaphor for life.
Yeah, it's really good.
And I still don't know what kind of bug it was.
Right, you have your eyes closed. I don't know how I would keep my eyes closed. I think that would be the challenge.
You're gonna miss those ants that were in the kitchen.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure, I'm sure. But in a sense too, like if you're not moving, then, you know, I mean, it might bite you,
Yeah.
but it's just much less likely because it's just like, you know, you can just be a tree or something.
Totally.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, like it probably won't bite you unless it's a mosquito or something.
Yeah, there's some like, when I read Eat, Pray, Love, I know it's like so cheesy in this setting, but, you know, it was like 20 years ago, and yeah, she's like in India at the ashram and learning and all this stuff, and committed, and gets the assignment to like go out and like do one of her first like long sits, and like, you know, she's there in India, like at, you know, at 7 o'clock, and it's just like, I mean, you know, she had like 83 mosquito bites on her body afterward, where she's just like sitting there trying to like not smack them, and like that, yeah, it's like the ultimate test of starting to love them, right? Just starting to like welcome them. Yeah, but like could be applied to just about anything in life though.
Totally.
Yeah, especially like a negative confrontation with someone.
Yeah, it's really interesting to do that, and then just to notice like how the mind works, and you know how much of it is like our projection, you know, and whether we really know about what's going on, you know, with the other person, and they're just doing everything because of everything that's happened to them in their life leading up to that moment, you know. So yeah, it's an interesting technique, and then for like the last, I don't know if it's a couple of days or so, either a day and a half or 2.5 days, then it goes into the metta, like the loving kindness practice, to kind of land the retreat, and that's nice too. But
So do you have like ways that you tap into this all day? Like do you have a thing that you do before meals, or like when you first get up or go to bed? I mean, aside from obviously what Joe teaches us.
yeah. Now I do, yeah. With what I just went through with that body scanning technique, I don't typically do that, except sometimes when I'm sick, like really sick, like have the flu or something like that, or like a stomach thing, I do that because one time we were traveling, we were in Africa, and I like got sick and from eating something, and I was like, oh no, here we go, and I was laying in a hot hotel room, you know, which wasn't that nice, and like feeling like I was gonna barf, and I was wondering like how much of this am I like making it like worse by, you know, or was it like really something bad that I ate? Because like the food was kind of like but maybe it was just a little like traveler sickness, and I was laying in the bed and I felt like I was like getting a fever. Then I thought to do the body scanning technique, and I did it for a while. And I think just the act of doing that and not focusing on my stomach, nausea, pain, helped it like settle. And because like, you know, we've talked about this here, it's one of the Buddhist teachings about like the second arrow, you know, like you get shot with the arrow, and then like if you overreact to it, it's like getting shot with the second arrow. And I know like I can do that, you know, especially something about like having stomach sickness, it's like an emotional thing, you know. Yeah, it happened. We just were super lucky enough to be invited on a boat trip, and like there was a little bit of rough sailing on one day toward the beginning of the trip too, while we were still getting our sea legs, and like I was sitting thinking like how much of this is like, you know, just from the, you know, the seasickness and so something I ate, and like am I making it worse? And I sat and did something for a while, and it actually made it better. It didn't go away completely, but like it wasn't as bad. I feel like it could have taken a turn for the worse if I would have let my mind, play that out. So yeah, so as far as that technique, it's kind of like in the toolbox, and I think it does help to like, if you have the time and you could do one of those retreats, maybe to explore it, but um, according to what we practice, I don't know, it's like one particular part of the path. In the retreat, he kind of portrays it as like, this is the way, like this is how the Buddha, attained enlightenment, and this is what you need to know. But like, he doesn't go over like so much stuff, like the basics of Buddhism and everything. So it does leave out a lot and doesn't include a lot. So I think maybe that would be one critique of it. And it can be kind of weird with the recordings and everything. But it's free, and I think they have good intentions, and there's centers like all over the world. So it's kind of like a luxury to have no responsibilities and to go inward. Like you're not even making eye contact with anyone. So
Yeah, mentioning this is fascinating. I don't know. I think when you guys talk about this, I'm at the stage where I feel just not as advanced in a way when I hear these releases and this stuff that you guys have done, and coming into this, the Dzogchen more specifically, and definitely over my head in a way, and where all of it, but it's overwhelming in a way, if that makes sense. Not that, not welcome, it's just like it's hard not to, I don't know, you don't feel that, just my mind and my nature mind is still settling more so than some other people, it seems.
yeah. Well, yeah, and I don't think that's uncommon too. So like it's not just you, Like I definitely lately, like in the last couple of years or so, I've been having experiences where I feel like, oh man, there's so much I don't know. Like kind of like the farther I go, it's interesting. So maybe a little different, but like, yeah, like I'm not feeling as advanced, but then you get into issues of like, and you are like learning about all this and like, maybe like the beginner stage of learning like the terms and like all the concepts and the history and all that. So it's just natural, but it's also important to to work on it, talk about it, and then have some confidence in it as well. And that could be a good thing to chat like with Joe about, or just bring up. But it's a tricky balance because like you don't want to be overconfident too.
Is the goal really to know everything? Like, I mean, obviously that's typically a Western, that's a society just like, oh, go to a class and learn everything and I'm gonna leave. Like, but I'm thinking that just like this type of practice is not intuitive in lots of other ways. Like, I don't know, is the goal to know everything?
Yeah.
It's like practice or embody it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think so, unless you're like a scholar or something.
Right, unless you're gonna teach it. But like,
Yeah.
obviously, if I was going to a class, I was like, I want to learn, I want to know. Maybe it's like pulling that back and just being like, no, I'm just being present here. That's all.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, because like there's like so many books, probably not possible unless that's like all you do. It's interesting. I was reading an autobiography of one of the Rinpoches, and he talks about like, so in Tibetan Buddhism, really you're supposed to like you have your guru, like your teacher, and traditionally like it's pretty strict. Like if they tell you to do something, like that's what you need to do, like a practice or and this person had a bunch of different teachers. So he was doing stuff, that he was told to do, and then and then just by certain circumstances, um, he met another teacher who recommended that he started to do other practices, like about more being like kind of just like what we do more or less like here, like letting be and resting and having some wisdom in it, but like nothing super elaborate. But it was interesting because in this book, he talks about like how he was glad that he found this other teacher because otherwise he would have been like kind of spinning his wheels like in the more complicated practice for years. And I think it was good for me to read that because at other times, like I visited the monastery once, and they talked about this text, "Words of My Perfect Teacher." I don't know if Joe's mentioned that to you. It's kind of a big, daunting, it can be an intense, at times, text, but it's like a famous one, and usually like you kind of take your time to read through it, and like you read a little bit and you contemplate it, and for so long, and then you move on, and you could go back to it. But at this center, they said that they had their monks study that text for 12 years. And then sometimes like they'll just do it for like 4 years, if like the monks can't stay there that long or whatever. And in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, you have to do it to really know the text, that makes sense for 12 years. But then I read this other book, and the guy was saying, he didn't want to be stuck in something for 3 years, So it's just really interesting how there's different opinions and.
You on time.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, as far as you asked about my practices, so yeah, there's like certain wake up practices, but typically what I do is I wake up and there's some stuff I have to do around the house, but at this point I'm doing a particular practice where like you would normally do it in retreat, but it's okay if you, and it's like 6 months of retreat where like you're supposed to have 4 sessions a day. But if not, it's okay just to do it at your own pace. And so there's like a little bit of text, and it's all like super excellent stuff, like very very kind of profound and succinct, and then reciting a mantra, and there's an accumulation goal where it's I think 1,000,000.2 of the mantra recitation. It's not too long, and then there's some closing out of it, and then there's some other practices. I'll do like one's more related to like abundance, and then one is more related to like kind of like relationship and like magnetism, and I think of my wife for that one, and then there's other ones about like trying to keep any bad juju, bad energy away. And then, there's some other shorter prayers too. That Joe always talks about, this one Rinpoche who says like whenever he has any problems, he says it. He recites it like a whole mala's worth 108 times. And I don't do it 108 times every day because I kind of like am saving it, but I might say that a few times. And there's just different ones that kind of come up and go. Like one of the teacher who lives in Tibet, who like asked Joe to start the group, he requested that like all of his students across the world recite a certain, do a certain practice, just to kind of help the situation that's going on in the world today. So I've been doing a little bit of that as well. And I think that's probably only till this month or so. And then, then I might end the session, and depending on how much time I have, that could be as quick as like 30 or 45 minutes, or as long as like 3 or 4 hours. And it all just depends on what I'm doing and how early I get up and how much sleep I got. And it's kind of hard. I have a 4-year-old. It's kind of hard.
Yeah, I heard if you had kids,
Yeah.
just one.
Yeah, just one. Yeah, and sleep is better now, but for a long time it was not good. So like practice was just kind of like, I would sit down like on the kitchen floor and practice like with no cushion for as long as I could. As long as she would let me.
Yeah, kids can be really, I think they're such a great, let's see, how do I put this, like, I mean, my daughter's 16 now, so it was a long time ago when she was little, but it was only a couple of years ago now, and I was like at this basketball game with, my daughter was playing in, and I started like playing with this child, a parent friend of mine or something, and it was just such a great, like, because kids are only in the now, right? And so it just felt like this great kind of like meditative thing to do. Like when I was at this like busy place, at this basketball game with so many people, and I'm chatting, then this like kind of the conversation with small talk conversation with everyone, but like the child's actually not talking to me. It's she's like 2 or 3, and I don't know. It's just like a nice like way out. It's probably not a good way to put it, but like the kids are in the now, and so it's just like if I don't want to talk to the adults anymore, but yeah.
Totally, yeah. It is refreshing. Yeah, they're in the now and they're so innocent. I noticed like over the first couple of years or so, so I was practicing a lot, and I noticed that sometimes, and this is when I was around my daughter. Sometimes, like I wouldn't feel like quite right. Like there was like a little dis-ease or happening, and it took me a while like to figure out like what that was. Like when I wasn't feeling like quite right, like something was just a little wrong. And I realized that only happened like when I wasn't in the moment, when I was like distracted by something, and that was like an aha light bulb moment for me, and like a reminder to really try to practice to be in the moment.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I remember my mother just bringing me back to the moment, she would just say, I remember a specific time, and I was like, oh, like, I'm so sorry about this, and I was going on and on. She's like, Mom, we're missing the song. Like, just kind of was like, oh no, how about just now? Just like, let's just come back to now. And then it was really challenging.
You have a daughter?
Yeah,
one?
just one. Yeah.
How old is she now?
She's 16.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, I've been through all of that.
Yeah.
Super awesome and super hard, and one of the best things I ever heard is like parenting is all joy, no fun.
Yeah.
True, but it's kind of close.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. What's your daughter's name?
Rosemary. How about yours?
Scarlett.
Scarlett. Nice name.
Thanks for sharing what you do in the morning.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and then there's like you can bless your food, and have different intentions, like really like everything we do, we could think of it as kind of like an offering, to like others, maybe who don't have the same opportunity, and if there's any kind of like, there's different like in Tibetan Buddhism, there's like different like types of beings out there, you can think if there's any beings around that are kind of in need, just have an intention that it helps them in some way. So you can kind of do that throughout the day. At times too, like if I'm focusing on a particular practice, like there was one in particular where, and I think I've talked about at least some of this in some of these sessions, like where you, throughout the day, you think like, may there be more moments of joy, more moments of love, more moments of equanimity, more moments of non-bias, and like the more, like you could just recite that, and I would put sticky notes all around and like reminders on my phone. But you also will recite like that if you see someone doing the opposite of any of those in the world, or even if like you think it yourself. So this is actually a good way of training the mind, and like it really works. They say like kind of like the medicine of something negative is like its opposite. So like if you you see someone like with anger, you know, like yelling at someone out there, even if it's like on TV, you can say like, may there be more moments of love, you know, for all beings, like, and me. And then the more that you do that, the more your mind will naturally go to that place. It's really cool. So yeah, stuff like that is like, it's almost like learning an instrument or something, you know. But it really, really works. So depending on what I'm doing, like I find that like having that, like the sticky note reminders, or even writing it out over and over, like if I'm trying to memorize something, for my brain, it helps me like make it more kind of integrated. Yeah, and then, you know, usually like in the winter, we do this inner heat tumo practice. That's like not so widely talked about, openly talked about, but it comes from like practices from India. But basically, it helps keep your body warm and like heat up. Like there's, it's possible, and they still do this today. Like up in the mountains in the Himalayas, the monks and nuns will practice it, and like their test at the end of so much time is they all go out and like strip down to their underwear, and they dunk these sheets in cold water, and they put the sheets on their body, and they have to sit until they dry the sheets with their body heat, and like they're able to do it like on a mountainside in Tibet. And you're visualizing certain things. So it's not just about generating the heat, but also like having this bliss that you recognize. It's like that's more important. So there's a bunch of cool, neat practices like that sometimes we do like at different times of the year. And then yeah, there's also, this stuff isn't really that openly talked about, but there's like the sexual yoga where you're, and there's like lots of different versions of it too, but where you're like incorporating different, techniques into that. And then there's also like practices you can do like while you're dreaming, which is basically like meditating while you're lucid dreaming. So I've always been interested in lucid dreaming since I was a young kid, and I'll go through periods where like I do more of that, and it's pretty neat because this has been my experience, and I've heard it from other people, like it doesn't really make sense unless you experience it, but like when you are able to lucid dream and meditate, that seems more real than like waking life. But like I haven't done it in a while, so like I kind of lost how that makes sense. But once I do it, it makes sense again. It's kind of like a psychedelic experience almost, you know? So yeah, there's like practices for all different times, including sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one of the I think nice things about certain types of like Tibetan Buddhism, like instead of like renunciating the world and like not doing this and that, like they've incorporated a lot of it into like practice. You know. Mhm.
More practical application.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I mean, talking a lot. Yeah, how about we sit for a little bit before I go into just playing? And if y'all want, since there's only a few of us, we could pull the hammocks down if you want to do the sound bath portion in the hammocks instead of on the ground. Yeah. It just takes like a minute or so. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
How about we clear the still breath one time and then we'll just sit. And what I'll do is hit some of the singing bowls, and when I do that, maybe I'll say a reminder too, but the idea will be for this particular exercise, when I hit it and you hear the sound, try to like focus on it until it gradually fades to nothing, and then let be, with a completely open mind. So we'll clear the still breath, sit for a little bit, and then we'll do that a little bit, and then we'll take a break to pull the hammocks down and do the gowning for a little bit. Okay, so I think we all know this one, right? Yeah. Now after I hit one of these singing bowls, follow the focus on the sound until it dissolves into nothing, and then sit with the mind open like the sky. time, let's pull down the comments. CB one. Yeah, I'll do that one and that one. Oh, yeah, you're tall. That's funny. Comes in handy.
I'll be stuck there.
Yeah, it's kind of like twisting together.
God, there's a hang.
Yeah.
Good for you. Breathing, I've seen her.
Have you ever gone to one of
Used
these?
to have like a bar.
You basically just kind of like make a
Yeah,
seat,
but
and
like
it's
they
helpful,
have
I think, lower and
Like
you make a little seat, and make sure it's like.
Yeah, I've got a parachute hand.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool, yeah.
Yeah, I
Close
just
to
feel like they
Nice.
go like, yeah, I don't know, for years, it was fun, yeah.
I know.
It's really good though, because it's just, there's something about hanging.
Yeah, just like, it's just a good to stretch out. Okay, how does this work? So like,
Yeah, that one's a little higher too, yeah. Yeah, basically, yeah, just make sure it's, yeah, pulled up behind you, and then like you can lay back, like kinda like you're in a cocoon.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, like that.
Yeah.
Do you guys do aerial yoga like this?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so great, I love that.
Yeah, it's nice. I don't know if I can give you a hand or anything. So yeah, as we go into the sound portion tonight, let's start with a few deep breaths. And as the sound begins, you can notice the sounds, notice how it might make you feel, and also make the intention that we'll let the sound waves come, kind of like clouds in the sky. So if we start to think about something, notice it, let the clouds drift by. Have a mind open like the sky, like we're traveling through space. nice deep breath. Wiggle your toes and your fingers. I think we could just do dedication of merit, like intention, since y'all are in the hammock, so you could just meditate for a few moments and then everyone just think, may any goodness that comes from our practice be sent out for the benefit of all beings. So let's do that now. Alright, well thank you all. You can take your time getting out of the hammocks, and thanks to anyone who's joined online. I will be back next week